In the 5th year of my marriage to my father's old friend's younger brother. His white moonlight returned to the city. To make up for Serena, Jason let her take my place as a college student. Because of one of her words, he forced me to abort the child. In my previous life, I was so hysterical that I made a scene, but I got a slap from him. Serena went to the countryside instead of you. What you're doing now is just a tiny fraction of what you should do to make up for her. Finally, I had enough. I'm sorry, my heart was broken and I filed for divorce. Then I met Leo, who loved me deeply. Unfortunately, our love was short-lived. I died of illness 5 years after our marriage. Returning to the age of 20, I agreed to go to the countryside just to find Leo. Unexpectedly, with a gloomy face, Jason came to me and said, "If you've had enough fun, it's time to go back with your uncle. Wendy going to the countryside will, at most, make you suffer a bit. Serena has a heart disease, if she goes to the countryside, it's a death sentence. So be a good girl and go to the countryside, okay?" Jason's tone was coaxing, and his eyes were full of me, but I knew it was fake. He just wanted me to go to the countryside willingly. Serena and I were the real and fake daughters who were switched at birth. I was found by my parents when I was 12. At that time, I thought I finally had a home, but my parents cared more about Serena, and I was like a dispensable, transparent person in this family. Only Jason, when I was driven out of the house, would take me to his study. If you're bullied in the future, come to your uncle. In terms of seniority, I should call him uncle. In terms of age, he was 7 years older than me. But Jason was like a beam of light breaking through the dark clouds, illuminating my dark days. I couldn't help but fall in love with him. So in the previous life, when Jason came to persuade me to go to the countryside, I threatened to commit suicide. In the end, I forced Serena to go to the countryside and successfully married Jason. 5 years after marriage, Serena returned to the city to compensate for the grievances she had suffered in these 5 years. Jason gave her 2/3 of his monthly salary and let her take the college place that I had managed to get when I was 6 months pregnant. Serena covered her chest and leaned into Jason's arms, crying, "Uncle Pang fulfilled my incession. If I hadn't gone to the countryside, the one who married you should be me, and the one who is pregnant now should also be me." Because of this sentence, Jason forced me to abort the child. I was so hysterical that I had a quarrel with him. Jason slapped me across the face. My forehead hit the corner of the table, and blood immediately gushed out. Jason seemed not to notice and said to himself, "Serena went to the countryside instead of you. What you're doing now is just a tiny fraction of what you should do to make up for her." So when I cried and begged him to spare our child, Jason still dragged me onto the operating table by force and forced me to have an abortion. Even now, I can't forget that excruciating pain. It was like a sharp blade piercing my soul, stabbing at my heart, one by one, forcefully tearing out a piece of flesh from my body. The intense pain seeped out from my pores, making me feel like I was in hell. After this, I finally gave up and filed for divorce. Later, I met Leo. He loved me, cared for me, and gave me a real home. But good times didn't last long. I passed away 5 years after our marriage. I thought I would live with regret for the rest of my life, but unexpectedly, I returned to the age of 20. "If sister doesn't want to go to the countryside, I can go," Uncle Serena said pitifully. Jason's face turned a shade colder. "Wendy, I was already used to Jason's partiality towards Serena. Even in this new life, I couldn't help but feel a pain in my heart. Jason, what if Serena is healthy?" Before he could answer me, Serena covered her chest, her face deathly pale. Jason immediately picked her up and walked outside. "Jason, I'm willing to go to the countryside," I said calmly. "Goodbye, uncle." Since I became an adult, I hadn't called Jason uncle anymore. He looked back in surprise, but then his attention was drawn back to Serena in his arms. I looked at him as he carried Serena away. "Jason, Ami, goodbye. I hope we never meet again in this life." To my surprise, I didn't expect to meet Leo on the first day I went to the countryside. At that time, he was being beaten up by a group of people. The leader was Jack, a well-known troublemaker in Huanghua village. He was also the one who killed Leo's grandma in the previous life. Leo stabbed him with a knife because of this and ended up in prison. Grandma was a landlord's daughter before liberation. She had bound feet and was inconvenient to move. When she wanted to save Leo, Jack kicked her to the ground, and she was so scared that she started crying. Jack laughed arrogantly, "Look at this old hag, she can't even stand steadily, yet she wants to save her grandson. You are the remnants of feudalism, the pests of the working class. Beat them to death." Leo, who hadn't fought back, suddenly got up, pushed Jack to the ground, and punched him in the face again and again. Jack was crying out in pain. "What are you all standing there for? Hurry up and pull this little bastard away." At this moment, Leo didn't look like a little dog but more like a fierce wolf cub. No one dared to step forward to help Leo. Let go of Jack and was about to help Grandma up. A fierce look flashed across Jack's face, and he took out a spring-loaded knife and stabbed at Leo. "Leo, be careful!" I exclaimed. Leo reacted in time and kicked Jack away. "Get out!" I stepped forward to help Grandma up and helped her straighten her messy clothes. The old lady thanked me with a smile. After dealing with Jack, Leo turned around, thanked me in a hurry, and was about to carry Grandma away. I chased after him. "I'm Wendy, who came to the countryside." "I can." My words were interrupted rudely by Leo. "Don't follow me." In my memory, except for being a bit rough in bed, Leo was very gentle to me at other times. The Leo in front of me had cold and sharp eyes and was full of thorns. He was like a fierce and unapproachable wolf cub. My nose twitched when I saw the bruises on his forehead and arms. My eyes turned red. I asked carefully, "Your injuries?" "None of your business." He still had a harsh tone. I said softly, "Remember to apply medicine." Leo carried Grandma and walked even faster. I looked up, forcing back my tears. "Leo, in this life, I will protect you just as you protected me." Free, I don't know what kind of conflict there was between Leo and Jack before Leo stabbed Jack with that knife. To avoid the tragedy of the previous life, I can't let Grandma get hurt, and I can't let that come back. Jack gets close to Leo again. When I heard the village director coming to the Wendy's dormitory to settle accounts with Leo for Jack, I stood up to testify for Leo. We all saw it that day. Jack took the initiative to pick a fight and pushed Grandma, so Leo fought back. Jack had a bandage wrapped around his head, and his eyes were low and vicious. "Wendy, you're speaking up for that landlord's brat Leo. Don't tell me you two have something going on. This is a matter of conduct." Others started whispering, "Maybe Wendy really has something to do with that bad boy. Don't they say that intellectuals value face the most? Wendy is from the city, how could she?" "Oh well." Jack's face clearly showed latency. "How you explain this?" Fortunately, one of the Wens who came with me that day couldn't stand it and stood up to confirm. When I said even if the village director wanted to be partial, he had no choice but to force a smile and then leave with Jack in a sorry state. Before leaving, Jack gave me a vicious glare. "Damn you, wait for me." Leo's tall figure blocked me, making me feel extremely safe. I felt a warm feeling in my heart. No matter how fierce Leo is now, he is gentle and kind at heart. For some time after that, whenever I wasn't working, I would rush to Leo's house. Another month passed, and when ice came to the village, since there weren't enough beds in the dormitory, I asked the village director if I could stay at the Z family's place. When Grandma heard that I was going to move in, she immediately told Leo to clean up the East Hall for me. In the evening, when I was about to go to bed, Leo came to bring me a quilt with a cold and handsome face. He said, "It's cold at night. I'm here to bring you a quilt." I said, "Oh," in a meaningful tone. Leo involuntarily averted his eyes and said, "Grandma asked me to come. It wasn't my idea." I blinked my bright eyes and moved closer to him. I didn't notice that my AHB and shirt slipped halfway, revealing my white shoulder. Leo was stunned when he saw it. His Adam's apple rolled involuntarily, and then he quickly looked away, but his ears were burning hot. Leo stuffed the quilt into my arms and warned me with a cold face, "When there's a bed available in the Wendy dormitory, you better move out of my house immediately." I stared at his bright red ears and finally couldn't resist pinching one of them. "I like you and want to stay here with you." Leo was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. He stumbled and turned around to run away, even forgetting to close the door. I laughed so hard that I couldn't straighten up. Such an innocent Leo was really rare. You know, in the previous life, this man was full of dirty talk in bed, things like, "Baby, be good, one more time." "Sister, you're not moving, it's me moving." "Honey, give it a little push." Every time he not only made my legs weak but also made me blush with shame. When the spring festival arrived, most of the Wendy in the village went back to their hometowns for the new year, and only I stayed. The day before New Year's Eve, I received a can of malted milk cassins and a stack of ration tickets sent by Jason. In his letter, he said that because of Serena's health, there weren't many ration tickets left for me. He told me to write to him if I needed more. In the previous life, Jason sent ration tickets to Serena every month, and each time he also sent 200 yuan. When it came to me, I was just given these few things to get by. Thinking about it, it was really unfair. But there was no need to care anymore. I put away the ration tickets, made a cup of malted milk essence for Grandma, and started helping to prepare tonight's New Year's Eve dinner. After dinner, Leo seemed to ask me casually, "Who is the person who sent you things today?" I crooked my finger at Leo, motioning for him to come closer so I would tell him. Leo leaned over slightly. I took the opportunity to pinch his face and smiled like a fox. "I won't tell you, Wendy." Leo pushed me away in a hurry. I popped down onto the ground as if I didn't feel the pain. I yawned and stretched out my hands to him, unsleepy and wanting to go to bed. Leo stared at me for a long time before carrying me into the room. He gently placed me on the bed, looking at my peaceful sleeping face, and asked, "Wendy, why are you so good to me?" Leo couldn't figure it out. He had a bad family background and a grandma to take care of. His life seemed to have no future, but the girl in front of him had been kind to him since they first met, as if she had come for him. Leo turned to leave. Suddenly, his fingertip was pulled. When he lowered his head, he met my clear and bright eyes. "Because I like you." This time, Leo didn't blush and run away. Instead, he turned around and stuffed a thermos flask into my hand, telling me to use it to warm the bed. 5 days after the new year, Leo took a pack of cigarettes and went to the village director's house. When he came back, he stayed in Grandma's room for most of the afternoon. The next day, he didn't go to work. He bought a second-hand 28-inch bicycle and followed Uncle Zhang in the village to help the meat factory in the city slaughter pigs and deliver meat. He worked from dawn to dusk every day and lost a lot of weight. On my birthday, Grandma stuffed a jade bracelet into my hand. I didn't dare to accept it. Leo put it on my hand. "It's for you, just take it." Later, I found out that this bracelet was passed down to the daughter-in-law of the SE family. I leaned close to Leo to tease him. "Leo, you gave me this bracelet. Do you like me?" Under my persistent questioning, Leo pinned me against the wall and gently pinched me. "Yes, I like you and want to date you." This time, it was my turn to blush. After lunch, I accompanied Leo to deliver me to the state-run restaurant in the city, then he dragged me to the department store. He said, "What other little girls have, Wendy should also have." I couldn't quite describe the feeling at that moment. I just felt a sour and swollen feeling in my heart. Whether in the previous life or this life, Leo was the one who loved me the most in the world. But I didn't expect to meet Jason and Serena there. When Serena stood beside me, she covered her mouth and giggled. "Sister, even if Uncle doesn't fancy you, there's no need to give up on yourself and hang out with such a country bumpkin, right?" Jason beside her also frowned tightly. "Wendy, you should think carefully about your lifelong event. Don't be short-sighted for a moment and regret it for the rest of your life." Leo slowly let go of the hand he was holding mine with. I saw Leo tightly biting his lips, he was feeling inferior and wanted to run away. I held his hand tightly in return. Leo was startled, and the corners of his eyes gradually turned red. This scene fell into Jason's eyes, stabbing his heart. I intertwined my fingers with Leo and looked at Jason. "Uncle, I was blind before, but I'm not blind anymore." In the previous life, I was blind and wasted 10 years for Jason and lost an innocent child. This life will be the same. Ignoring Jason's gloomy face, I pulled Leo and turned to leave. Behind us, Jason looked at our departing figures, his eyes full of gloomy coldness. 6 months later, Leo's pork business was getting better and better. There were still 6 months until the college entrance examination in the previous life, so I started to study with Leo. Once we started studying, I realized that some people are born geniuses. The more I knew this, the more I felt sorry for Leo. In the previous life, at his best age, he went to prison, and his future was ruined. But fortunately, everything could start anew. However, I didn't expect that some established tracks were beyond my change. That night, Leo went to the city to deliver meat, and Grandma and I were at home in a half-asleep and half-awake state. I felt a coolness on my chest. I opened my eyes suddenly and met Jack's lewd and lustful eyes. Fear instantly gripped my heart. I struggled wildly, trying to scream for help, but Jack slapped me. "Shut up." I ignored the burning pain on my face and gritted my teeth, cursing, "If you dare to touch me today, Leo will never let you go." Jack grinned, showing his disgusting yellow teeth. "What the hell is Leo? Do you know who sent me here? It's your uncle Jason. He said you promised and asked me to teach you a lesson and make you behave. Besides, you've already slept with that little bastard Leo. What's wrong with me having a go at you?" As he spoke, he slapped me again. I was crying with blood in my mouth, and my heart was torn with pain. An endless stream of soreness and hatred welled up. Jason, how dare he? How could he do this to me? I had already suffered enough because of loving him and even lost a child in this life. I didn't want to pester him, I just wanted to live a good life with Leo. Why? Why couldn't he just let me go? The stench of alcohol from Jack's mouth made me feel suffocated. I desperately called Leo's name, hoping he would appear. It was also at this moment that the door was kicked open from the outside. Jack was lifted up with one hand by Leo and then turned heavily to the ground, letting out a shrill scream of pain. Ouch. Before he could react, he was punched by Leo. Leo's eyes were blood red, and his strikes were fierce and brutal, like a killing god crawling out of hell. I remembered that in the last life, Leo went to prison because he stabbed Jack. Ignoring my fear, I stumbled over and hugged his waist, crying and pleading, Leo, stop hitting. Let's call the police. Stop hitting. Leo stopped his actions and hugged me tightly. Don't be afraid. I'm here. I grabbed Leo's chest and burst into tears. Leo patted my back to soothe me, not noticing that Jack on the ground suddenly stabbed at him with a switchblade. Leo, go to hell. Leo, watch out. My eyes widened in shock. Leo reacted extremely quickly, grabbed Jack's hand, and tried to seize his knife. Jack stubbornly refused to let go. During the struggle, Leo stabbed him in the abdomen with the knife. Looking at Jack lying on the ground, I felt a wave of tiredness and powerlessness. Couldn't I change anything? Then what was the point of this rebirth? The air was filled with a pungent smell of blood, and everything in front of me was blood red. In a trance, I seemed to return to the time when I was forced to have an abortion in my last life. The pain all over my body was unbearable. I gasped for breath, and then my eyes went dark and I fainted. 7 days later, when I woke up again, I was in the hospital. Jason stood by the bed, looking down at me. As soon as I saw him, endless hatred welled up in my heart, and I raised my hand and slapped him. Jason took my slap without dodging. Jason let out a low sigh. Why? I just want everything to get back on track. My heart skipped a beat, and I felt an inexplicable sense of ease. What Jason said made me feel as if he wanted to reset everything. For example, that hooligan Leo should go to prison, and for example, my Wendy should marry me this autumn. I stared at him in disbelief. Jason hooked his lips in a good mood and kissed my cheek. Wendy, you've had enough fun, it's time to go back with your uncle. I rubbed the cheek that Jason had kissed hard, wishing I could rub off that layer of skin. Jason, what makes you think that after you killed my child and ruined my life, I would still love you? What, because you have a big face? Ignoring my sarcastic expression, Jason forcefully grabbed my wrist. No matter how much I struggled, I couldn't move and could only glare at him fiercely. It doesn't matter. Anyway, we're back to the beginning. Let's start over, okay? Jason looked at me affectionately. I spat at his face, rolled my eyes, and cursed, no way in hell. Jason's smile faded. He pinched my chin, forcing me to look at him. His tongue was extremely affectionate. Wendy, you know, after we divorced in the last life, I missed you until I died. 8 years after divorcing me in the last life, Jason quickly married Serena. It was after marrying Serena that he realized how important Wendy was to him. Serena was a responsibility, while Wendy was true love. By the time he wanted to make amends, Wendy had passed away. Later, he and Serena had a son and a daughter, but he missed Wendy all his life and never let go until he died. Fortunately, having fulfilled my intercession, God, moved by his deep affection, gave him a chance to start over. Who knew Wendy was also reborn and she actually wanted to find Leo and draw a clear line with him? How could that be? She was supposed to be his. So he bribed Jack to teach Wendy a lesson, also wanting her to understand that Leo couldn't protect her and only by his side was her place to belong. After listening to Jason's so-called confession of love, the sarcastic arc of my mouth became even bigger. You had Jack come to rape me. Is that the so-called love you're talking about? Wow, you're really good at loving people. I'm sorry. Jason apologized to me, looking like a gentleman. I just wanted Leo to go to prison. I didn't want to hurt you, Wendy. No one in this world loves you more than I do. I felt so disgusted that I raised my hand to slap him again. Jason grabbed my wrist with such force that my bones creaked. My face turned pale with pain, but he laughed, caressed my face like a lover, and every word he said made me shudder. Wendy, if you don't want to come back to me, I don't mind making Leo die in prison. Wendy, your uncle has limited patience. I'll give you 5 minutes to think about it. I gritted my teeth and cursed, so angry that my fingertips were trembling, but I had no choice. I couldn't let Leo ruin his life for me. He was such a good person and shouldn't have his future destroyed because of me. Seeing that Jason was about to leave, I quickly got out of bed but fell to the ground and knelt at Jason's feet. He looked down at me from above. My fingertips trembling, I grabbed the hem of his trousers, took a deep breath, and swallowed all my bitterness and anger. Uncle, I promise you. Jason bent down and gently pinched my chin with his thumb and forefinger. Good girl. Out of anger, I bit his tiger's mouth. Jason let out a muffled grunt and ground his teeth. He exerted force on his tiger's mouth, and the pain made my tears well up. What should I do, Leo? It seems like I can't do anything. With me as a witness, Leo was acting in self-defense, but with Jason secretly using some means, Leo was soon released. The day Leo was released, I stood outside the police station waiting for him. I hadn't seen him for almost half a month. Leo had lost a lot of weight, and his eyebrows and eyes became even more sharp and deep. But when he saw me, his expression softened. Wendy, Leo strode forward and hugged me tightly. Hearing the strong heartbeat in my ear, my nose suddenly felt sour. A sharp whistle sounded in my ear. I turned around, just in time to meet Jason's eyes in the back seat of the car. He raised his eyebrows and smiled at me with a hint of warning. Leo, I have something to tell you. I pushed Leo away and looked up at him, but when I looked into those eyes that only had me in them, all the words were stuck in my throat, and I couldn't say a single word. Wendy, Leo asked worriedly, what's wrong? My throat felt like it was filled with coarse sand, it hurt even to say one word. What was wrong with me, Leo? I want to be with you, but it seems like I can't. It's time for me to say goodbye to you. As if making up my mind, I said in a hoarse voice, Leo, don't say anything. Let's go home. Leo seemed to sense something and pulled me towards the bus station. I'm not going back. That's not my home. I shook off Leo's hand. Leo bit his lip tightly, looking incredulous. Wendy, I dared not look at his red-rimmed eyes. I was afraid that if I took one more look, I wouldn't be able to bear to leave. But I was also afraid that being soft-hearted for a moment would harm Leo. Forcing myself, I looked straight into Leo's eyes, clenched my hands into fists so tightly that my fingernails dug into my palms, and tried to suppress the voice that was on the verge of trembling out of tune. Leo, I went to the countryside and Pastor G just to make my little uncle angry and jealous. I don't believe it. Leo tried to hold my hand. I dodged and then slapped him across the face. My palm hurt, and my heart ached as if being torn by a knife. I stabbed at Leo's sore spot with every word. You don't believe it. What's my family background, and what's my little uncle's status? If I don't love him, do you think I'd be with you, an orphan whose grandma is also disabled? TSK, it was just for fun. Don't take it seriously. Leo hung his head, his long bangs falling down, making it hard for me to see his expression at the moment, but I could feel the intense sadness emanating from him. I'm sorry, I repeated these 3 words over and over again in my heart, but Leo couldn't hear me. It felt like a few short seconds, yet also like a long century. Leo's eyes fell on my wrist, where there was a jade bracelet. Leo grabbed my hand but, afraid of hurting me, just gently encircled it. His eyes were blood red, like a puppy abandoned by its owner, making a last-ditch effort to stay. Why are you still wearing the bracelet? It's just a crappy bracelet. I took off the bracelet and threw it to the ground. Leo grabbed my wrist and pleaded in a trembling voice, Wendy, please don't break it. Clang. The bracelet was smashed hard on the ground and broke into pieces. Leo seemed to be hit hard, and his body swayed. He knelt down on one knee, carefully picked up the broken pieces of the bracelet, not feeling the pain even when his fingers were cut by the fragments and bled. My heart was already in so much pain that I could barely breathe. I tried to pinch my palm to calm myself down. I took out several large denomination banknotes from my small shoulder bag, threw them on the ground, and walked past Leo hotly. Money for the bracelet. Don't bother me again in the future. Leo raised his blood-covered hands and stared at me with his red eyes. Every word seemed to be gritted out, a mixture of love and hate. Wendy, you city girls really know how to play. Thanks for the compliment. I quickened my pace, afraid that if I was 1 second slower, I would burst into tears in front of Leo. After getting in the car, I greedily looked at Leo, who was staggering forward, until his figure disappeared from sight. I could no longer hold back my grief, grabbing the clothes on my chest and bursting into loud sobs. It hurt so much, not the pain in the body, but the pain in the soul and the heart. It was dense, like being pricked by needles, like being cut by a knife, making it hard for me to breathe. Stop crying, Jason turned my face around and wiped away my tears. I glared at him with red eyes. You're about to be your little uncle's bride. Our Wendy has to smile. He pinched my face and pulled the corners of my mouth up, forcing me to show a smile uglier than crying. A bride looks beautiful when she smiles. I turned my face away and said hatefully, Jason, you. He let out a low sigh. Don't push me to hate you even more. Hate me then. Jason took my hand. The more I struggled, the tighter he held. Seeing my pain-stricken pale face, he smiled with pleasure. Hate lasts longer than love. When Serena found out that Jason was going to marry me, her heart disease recurred, and she was hospitalized. My parents forced me to get Jason back to her. After scolding me, they went around coaxing Serena. Even if it happened all over again, I would still be sad. I'm clearly my parents' biological daughter, but they only had Serena in their eyes. I was nothing to them. Jason walked in. The person I want to marry has always been Wendy, and only Wendy. My parents were stunned. Serena cried and shook her head. Little uncle, you said you like Wendy. What about me? What am I, and what about all the kindness you showed me? It's just for the sake of good relations between the two families. Jason was cold-hearted. My mother wanted to stand up for Serena but was silenced by a medical report that Jason threw in front of her. The medical report stated that Serena's heart was only slightly weaker than normal people's. It wasn't as serious as she claimed all along. Jason knew that Serena was pretending to be weak to win sympathy, yet he still treated me the same way in the past life. It was so ridiculous. My parents held the report and questioned Serena, who had lied to them. Probably having lost her lover and being suspected by her family, Serena stopped pretending. You've raised me so big. Why did you have to find Wendy back now? Now that she's back, everything that belongs to me will be hers. Why did she come back? Wendy is our biological daughter. Jason didn't have the patience to watch the three-member family arguing. He said casually, since Serena has a weak heart, then I'll trouble Uncle Shin and Auntie to take her abroad for proper treatment. Little Uncle Serena couldn't be more aware that the so-called going abroad was exile. She would never be able to come back. Jason didn't even give her a sidelong glance. He took my hand, looking gentle and affectionate. After all, Wendy and I are getting married. I won't keep someone she hates around to get on her nerves. The more affectionate Jason seemed, the colder my heart felt. Serena accompanied him all her life in the past life and gave birth to his children, but in his eyes, she was nothing. On the way back in the car, I asked Jason, he let out a well sigh. Do you really love me? Jason pinched my face, amused. Lee, aren't I loving you enough? There was a smile in his eyes, but it had sent chills down my spine. I sneered. Your so-called love is to force me with my lover and hurt me in the name of being good for me. Your love is really too cheap. So what? Jason's smile didn't reach his eyes. Do you want me to love you like Leo? He chuckled as if coaxing a tantrum-throwing child. Don't be kidding. I'm not interested in playing children's house games with you. Keeping you by my side, over time, you'll fall in love with me again, won't you? Jason was still smiling, but to me, that smile was like an airtight net enveloping me, leaving me with no way to escape. I could only become as pliable as putty in his palm. An invisible sense of suffocation came over me, making it hard to breathe. Was this the new life I wanted? It wasn't. I should have had nothing to do with Jason anymore and should have spent my whole life with Leo, but it was all gone. It was all gone. What was the point of starting this life all over again? What if I looked at Jason and laughed, but the smile was uglier than crying. What if I die? Jason was taken aback, then smiled and warned me. You can try. See if I'll let you die first or Leo die first. Really? I smiled faintly. Jason frowned tightly. What are you going to do, Wendy? In his shocked gaze, I suddenly pushed open the car door like a bird with broken wings and desperately rushed into the traffic. The ear-piercing screeching of brakes instantly pierced my eardrums, and the tires rubbed against the ground, creating a pungent thick smoke. My body was violently shaken and sent flying. The world spun around, and at this moment, my consciousness gradually blurred. In a trance, I seemed to see Leo running towards me. I woke up in the hospital. Jason was guarding by my bedside, looking haggard as if he hadn't had a good rest for a long time. He looked rather helpless. Wendy, I just wanted to start over with you. I never meant to hurt you. There's no need for you to abuse yourself like this, is there? I found it rather ridiculous. Jason always thought he was right. The harm he did to me in the past life could be written off in this life in the name of love. He tried to tie me to his side and hurt me again. I know you don't want to talk to me now. I'll ask someone to take care of you. Jason asked a woman called Sister Lee to take care of me. It was said to be taking care of me, but in fact, it was surveillance. I didn't have any serious external injuries, just a slight concussion, and I would be discharged from the hospital soon. On the day of my discharge, Sister Lee went to go through the procedures, and I waited for her in the lobby. Unexpectedly, when I looked up, I saw Leo and a girl following him across the crowd. I stared blankly at them chatting and laughing, soreness filling my eyes. The girl was beautiful, bouncing around beside Leo. I don't know what she said, she took Leo's arm and laughed. Leo reached out and ruffled her hair. Leo wasn't someone who liked physical contact with others. To be able to interact so intimately with the girl, he must like her very much. At that moment, I felt like a clown peeking at others. Jason came to my side at some point. I heard that girl has a childhood relationship with Leo. I didn't say anything, but tears fell. Jason squatted down in front of me, wiped away my tears, and coaxed me in a soft voice. Wendy, Leo will have a new life, and we will have a new future too. I looked at the backs of Leo and the girl leaving, my heart aching as if being tightly grasped by an invisible big hand. Wendy, I used the wrong way before. I apologize to you. Let's start over. Let me make it up to you, okay? Jason looked at me sincerely. I couldn't even escape from death, what else could I do? Leo also had a new life, so I stopped struggling, just letting it be. I promise you, but I want to take the college entrance examination. Let's hold the wedding after I graduate from college, is that okay? Jason was about to refuse me. I said, little uncle, don't forget in the past life I was admitted to college, but you let Serena take my place. You owe me this. You have to make it up to me. Jason smiled meaningfully. Okay, I promise you, but shouldn't our Wendy give a little reward to little uncle? Looking at the face so close to me, I felt an indescribable nausea. Suppressing my nausea, I kissed Jason on the cheek. Thank you, little uncle. He pinched my face, still in the tone of treating a pet. What a good girl. The day of the college entrance examination was a sunny day, a rare good weather. After the exam, Jason was waiting for me outside and handed me a steaming baked sweet potato. Since he said he would make it up to me that day, Jason started to learn from Leo to love me. Do you want to relax after the exam? As he said this, Jason reached out to hold my hand. I dodged him by pretending to eat the sweet potato. I don't want to. Jason wasn't angry either. Instead, he asked me which school I wanted to apply to. Beijing University, he slightly narrowed his eyes. Beijing is too far away. Why not stay local and choose any university? Isn't that okay? Jason, what out of Leo? You've already ruined my life once, do you want to ruin it a second time? Every time I said this, Jason immediately raised his hands in surrender. This time was no exception. Little uncle can't argue with you. But thinking about a 4-year long-distance relationship, it really makes me feel bad. Jason let out a soft sigh, seemingly reluctant to part with me. I ate the sweet potato, saying nothing, rolling my eyes in my heart. Jason always loved to act as if he loved me very much. In fact, the person he loved the most was himself. After the college entrance examination results came out, I applied to the School of Economics and Business Administration at Beijing University. Thanks to living one more life and having funds, within just a few years, I owned several companies and got to know many future big shots. For example, tonight's party was Old Tang's 70th birthday party. His eldest son was Jason's strongest competitor, but I never expected to meet Leo tonight. After 4 years of not seeing each other, the fierce and cold-blooded young wolf in my memory had turned into a noble and reserved alpha male. Standing in the crowd, he easily attracted everyone's attention. Over the years, I had also heard about Leo. He had a close relationship with the Tang family, relying on them as his backer, and was doing extremely well in the capital where the powerful and wealthy gathered. Leo seemed to sense my gaze and looked in my direction. Before the words "long time no see" could be spoken, a sweet female voice interrupted. Leo, a girl in a white dress ran towards Leo from behind. It was Old Tang's granddaughter, Snow Tang. So the person Leo was looking at was her. It felt like a handful of coarse sand had been stuffed into my throat, It was both astringent and dry. I raised my head and drank the wine in my glass in one gulp, then turned around and walked out. My secretary told me, Mr. Shannon has invited you to choose the wedding dress this weekend. In this life, relying on his experience from the previous life, Jason had reached the position he had before retirement within just a few years, and his possessiveness had become even stronger. I lit a cigarette, took a puff, then impatiently crushed out the cigarette butt. I said lightly, got it. At 10 o'clock in the morning on the weekend, Jason came to pick me up to the bridal shop. I didn't expect to meet Leo and Snowtang here. They say the capital is both big and small. It's so big that I hadn't seen Leo once in these 4 years, but so small that we met twice in just a few days. Snowtang recognized me and asked with a sweet smile, Sister Wendy, what a coincidence. Are you here to choose a wedding dress too? I'm getting married soon. I'll send you an invitation then. My peripheral vision uncontrollably fell on Leo beside her. Was he going to marry Snowtang? Well, this life was completely different. Julio Meard had nothing to do with me, right? I wanted to say yes, but when the words reached my lips, I couldn't say anything. Jason put his arm around my shoulder and swept a sharp glance at Leo. The latter didn't move a muscle. He smiled and said, sure. When Wendy and I get married, you two must also come and have a drink. Mr. C will come too, right? Leo ignored him. He looked at Snowtang gently and said, don't you like the wedding dress on display in the window? I'll accompany you to take a look, okay? Snowtang replied cheerfully and then said goodbye to me with a smile. Looking at the backs of the two of them walking away hand in hand, my eyes ached and became sore. Although I had done countless mental preparations, every time I saw the intimate scenes of Leo and Snowtang, my heart felt like it was being pulled back and forth by a cotton thread, hurting densely. I turned my head, not wanting to look anymore. Why don't you look? Jason held my head with both hands and forced me to look. Take one more look, and then you'll give up and understand. He turned my head towards him with a gentle smile. Who the person you're going to marry is. I pushed him away violently. Are you crazy? The smile on Jason's face disappeared, and with a cold face, he dragged me out. Turning the corner was an alley. Jason forcefully threw me against the wall. A sharp pain instantly came from my back. Before I could react, Jason pinned me tightly against the wall, pinched my chin, and asked, Wendy, do you still love Leo? So what if I do? I looked at him with scorn. Jason stared intently at me, the corners of his eyes gradually turning red. He asked me in a trembling voice, for years have passed, why are you still unwilling to love me again? It was as if I had heard a joke. I burst into a fit of giggles. Jason, just think about how much Wendy and the past life loved you. She loved you so much that as long as you turned around and gave her a single glance, she would obediently wait for you forever. She knew you didn't love her, not even loved her, but she never dared to blame you. She only blamed herself for not being good enough. You said you'd spend a lifetime missing her, but do you know how much pain she endured when she lost the child? When she was writhing in pain on the operating table, you were out having a good time with Serena. Jason Ian, who had always been in control of the situation, was for the first time a bit at a loss. Wendy, I didn't know when I loved you, you didn't love me and treated me like dirt. Now that I don't love you, you love me and want to start over. Do you think you can just erase the harm you did to me? Isn't it ironic? I love Leo because with him, I can get the most basic respect between lovers. What about you? You only know how to force me. I pushed Jason away, and tears streamed down my face. So why should I love you? Jason's lips moved as if he wanted to say something but was interrupted by the driver who came looking for him. Mister, something's wrong. He gave me a look full of reluctance. Wendy, I'll go deal with work first. I won't postpone the wedding any longer. We have plenty of time ahead. After he left, I leaned against the wall, feeling a bit tired. I took out a cigarette and lit it. The smell of nicotine gradually calmed my restless mood. After finishing one cigarette, I turned to leave. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a figure like Leo's passing by on the other side of the alley. When I looked closely, there was nothing there. I must have been imagining things. The graduation season coincided with a new project, and I was so busy that I barely had time to rest recently. I didn't get home until the early hours of the morning one day. After finishing work, the driver dropped me off downstairs. As soon as I opened the door, the next second, I was suddenly grabbed by a hand that reached out from the darkness and pulled forward. The scream was just about to escape my lips, but I was already pinned against the wall by Jason. The smell of alcohol made me nauseous. Jason held my chin and stared at me intently. Wendy, why are you drunk? I reached out to push him away, but Jason hugged me even tighter, and I couldn't break free no matter how hard I tried. I took a deep breath, trying my best to calm myself down. Jason, if you want to go crazy, can you come to me tomorrow? I'm really tired and just want to sleep. I don't have time to play out some angsty love drama with you. These words seemed to have stimulated Jason. He held my chin and was about to lean down and kiss me. Just then, a strong gust of wind swept past my ear, and I saw Jason being yanked by the shoulder by Leo, turned to the side, and then with a bang, the door was slammed shut behind us. Before I could figure out what was happening, I was dragged by Leo and pressed against the door. A fierce growl came crashing down outside the door. Jason seemed to sober up from the alcohol. He kicked the door hard and shouted, Leo, what are you doing? Wendy, open the door for me right now. I was jolted back to my senses, only then remembering Jason outside the door. In the quiet night, just hearing Jason's angry shouts, I could guess that he could hear the sound of Leo and me kissing. An overwhelming sense of shame washed over me. I whimpered and pushed Leo slightly. Leo's thumb pressed against the corner of my lips, and his voice was hoarse. Wendy, this simple call of Wendy made me instantly stop resisting. What did he have to do with me? I tilted my head up and started to respond to Leo, but at this moment, he stopped, looking straight at me. Who do you like? He kissed me again. Who am I? Leo, who likes me? Wendy likes Leo. Leo kissed me again. This time, it was completely different from the fierce one before. It was tender and affectionate, making me have an illusion as if I had returned to the previous life, as if we had never been apart. The sound of the door being kicked disappeared. Jason seemed to have left because of something. Leo finally stopped kissing me. We stared at each other in the darkness, and his eyes reflected my figure. I heard everything he said to Jason in the alley that day. Don't you have anything to say to me? I opened my mouth, and it took me a long time to come up with a sentence. What do you want to hear? He pressed his nose and forehead against mine. His voice was very gentle. I'll listen to whatever you say. All the grievances from the past 4 years of pretending to get along with Jason every day, all the pretense collapsed at this moment. I cried so hard that I could barely catch my breath. Leo, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say those words to hurt you. I like you so much, but I had no choice. I couldn't bet on your future. I seem to be really useless. Even after being reborn, I still can't do anything. I even made you suffer because of me. I'm sorry. I cried and repeated sorry over and over again. Leo gently kissed away my tears. Our Wendy is amazing. You managed to protect me. It was me who was too weak and made you endure all this. I cried even louder, releasing all the grievances of the past few years. At this moment, Leo patiently comforted me. After my emotions calmed down, I suddenly realized something serious. Leo had a key, and I had a lock. What were we doing? I tentatively opened my mouth. Leo, I said. Okay, let's get married. Leo pulled me to sit down and told me, come to think of it, Snow Tang is my cousin. I vaguely remembered that Leo's late mother's surname was Tang. I've explained it to you, so he leaned on my shoulder, his black eyes shining brightly. You've kissed me, you're not going to be stingy and not give me a proper title, are you? I couldn't help but laugh. Of course I will. To compensate for the grievances Serena had endured in the past 5 years, with the help of the Tang family's connections and methods, soon Jason was suspended from his position for investigation. On the day of the trial, Jason was sentenced to death and was to be executed by shooting a month later. Before his death, he asked to see me. I didn't go. Instead, I received a suicide note he wrote to me. Jason wrote in the letter, if I had known that letting you go to Beijing would allow you to grow to where you are now, I would never have let you leave. If I could do it all over again, I would definitely tie you to my side from the very beginning. Crazy. I casually burned the letter. Just looking at it made me feel disgusted. On the day of the graduation ceremony, Leo proposed to me. He put that bracelet on my wrist again. Wendy, I had a dream last night, he said. In the dream, with the memories of this life, I met you, who were badly hurt by Jason. I felt so distressed about that. I wanted to be nicer to you, but the dream was too short, and you left me in a blink. However, later on, she was taken good care of by you. I hugged Leo, wearing a happy smile. In the previous life, Leo came for me. In this life, I hadn't fulfilled, I came for him. The end.